Hello, hello. Welcome to the Be Your Own Hero Show. I'm your host. I'm your host. Shout out to the folks in backstage who I haven't revealed yet, but coming right up. So welcome to the Be Your Own Hero Show. Hero is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. It also stands for high emotion radiates overflow, right? And that particular meeting has meant a lot to me for the past 11 months. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who do not know, I am suffering from a stroke. I've been suffering from a stroke for 11 months now. 11 months I've been suffering from a stroke. I've been fighting it in many different ways. I still feel the physical pain affiliated with the stroke. I still feel all the things affiliated with the stroke. And I just wanted to make it known that it still hurts. Because I remember this morning I was doing my run report. Let me just get the run report out the way. I did my run report, and I now day 179. 179. I've been running every day, a mile every day. And today was hard, man. Today was hard. And I don't want you to think that because I'm able to do it, because I'm able to click done, and I'm able to smile when I'm taking that photo, I don't want you to think that it's easy. It's not easy, and it hurts. It hurts me much more than it hurt me before, So I just wanted to share that with you because I feel like I'm getting some energy from some people in New York that's like, hey, man, you can do it. You can do it. And no, I can't do it the way I used to. I can't physically do it the way I used to, and I can't thoughtfully do it the way I used to. So just I had to put that out there because I need some support, y'all. I need some support. So that said, happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. For those of you that missed it, my birthday was June 24th. So I'm still partying in the best way that I can, which is being there for myself. And so let me just go ahead and do this really quickly before I run out of time. I'm inviting you to buy my book. Buy my book, Hack Your Pain Now. This book is releasing now. It's my pre-sales book being sold right now. Hack Your Pain Now, and you can buy it right now on Amazon.com. You can buy it there, and it'll deliver to everyone on July 1st. So everyone will get it on the same day and be able to read it on the same day. All right, and this is almost end of the chapter. Every June, I've invited people to enjoy chapter with me by exercising their body. So I hope you've done that. I hope you've done your exercise in June. You purchased my book and you've donated now at SekouWrite.com. All right, so there we go. So now we're going to get on to meet our next guest. Our next guest, we're going to do the drum roll, and I'm going to introduce the guest. Hold on one second. Here we go. What's up, Ed? What's up, Ed?
Cool. How you living, man?
I'm living. So this is spontaneously happening with you, Ed. I just wanted to do something different for my birthday, and I wanted to invite people in, and I wanted to try and balance my alopecia. I forget the name of the thing that I've got, but anyway, there's this thing that I've got that makes it harder for me to communicate things, and so having you here, I think, will be helpful to me. So please introduce yourselves and let everybody know who you are.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I appreciate the invitation. I love that you have, built this platform as a means of communicating and empowering people that are chiming in. And you and I go way, way, way back. So obviously, I'm an absolute yes when that came about. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ed Blunt. I have lived some lives over these last several decades, first and foremost as an artist and performer, acting on Broadway, off-Broadway, film and television, working with the likes of Denzel and Spike Lee and Sean Penn and et cetera, Had an incredible ride out of New York City for many, many, many years, and just forged some amazing relationships with a lot of the giants that I grew up watching on the big screen when I was a kid. And then I transitioned with the help of the one and only Mr. Les Brown, the greatest motivational speaker on the planet, came under his tutelage, and he taught me the fundamentals of speaking and communicating and how to constantly get better in that space. And so I remember literally doing events. The theater that I was performing in with Denzel on Broadway, we did Julius Caesar, allowed me to use the space on the off days to do presentations. So I started working and developing on my skill set as a speaker and communicator more intentionally during that time. Became a full-time speaker. And while I was in that space, got introduced to entrepreneurialism and free enterprise, ended up getting into sales and building sales teams, was in the travel industry for almost 10 years, built a very sizable organization of 140,000 sales reps around the world. And from that space, I transitioned into life insurance and annuities. So we have our own agency now. I'm building that. So that's a quick summary. For those of you that don't know me, again, Ed Blunt, all over social media. You can just find me at Ed Blunt as well.
That was great. That was great. Your professionalism speaks volumes for all the ways you pulled everything together. That was dope. That was dope. So I wanted to holler something that you just reminded me of. It just reminded me of my introduction to Les Brown. I opened for him for Harriet's Dream Leapers company. Did you see Dream Leapers? Did you see Dream Leapers?
I remember we talked about it.
Okay. So all right, great. So yeah, I opened for Les Brown, and it's coming back to me as I'm speaking it now because I had to deal with a lot of amnesia in regard to getting my mind right. So I'm remembering that Les Brown was a funny man. He was a funny man, and he said some funny things about me. Moving on, he said, you don't need me. You got Sekou, and that we had never met before. And so, how has your experience with Les Brown been?
That's a great question. It's a little bit unique in that he has been a friend of the family for a very long time. My father actually spent the weekend with Mr. Brown when he decided he wanted to be a full-time motivational speaker. My dad was really big in corporate at the time, and so they came up with a strategy that they cultivated because Les Brown had no experience in the corporate world. He had no college education or training, and he was reaching out to my father just to kind of help him come up with a plan. My father also ran his campaign when he was in the Ohio State legislature. So they built a relationship, a working one. And so I was just a little kid running around. I didn't know what was going on. But Les has known me since that time. And I didn't understand that connection. And so I was watching a PBS special one day when I was in college, and it was one of his. It was called You Deserve. And he also did another one on PBS called It's Possible. And I was talking to my mom, like, man, this dude is amazing. And she was like, oh, that's your Uncle Les. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, that's Les. And so she explained to me the nature of their relationship, which it just went over my head when I was a kid. And then I remembered, I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember him. And so I made it my business to build a relationship with him. I made it my business to make sure that whenever he was speaking somewhere that I could get to, I got to. And eventually over time, I was able to start volunteering for him and working for him for free on specific events. And through that working relationship and serving, that's how I began to really start to pick up on what he was doing, how he was doing. I was very observational, taking things in. And that was the genesis of that. But we have a very close relationship. We talk all the time, and I'm grateful for his presence in my life.
That's great. That's great. So you just reminded me of something else that I'm going to ask your opinion on right now. So I experienced a stroke almost a year ago. It'll be a year coming in July, right? And I've been asked to come back to the organization and speak where I gave. Well, actually, let me explain this. Maybe I haven't explained this. So I had my stroke during a graduation ceremony at Fisk University. I was speaking to the children at Fisk and their parents, and mid sequence, I just fell out, and I felt hands on my back, and then that's all I remember. And I have been asked now to come back to the organization and speak, to let the people see me, to let the parents see me, to let everyone who was caught by that vision of me then see how I've come now. And now I've only been asked to say something very brief, just say, hey, something very brief, and thank the parents that were helpful to me. But how would you suggest that I synthesize something for them? Because to me, it's very important that this is the actual event. This is the actual place, the time and place where I've fallen before.
Yes.
Now I'm coming back, and I want to say something strong but short. And how would you suggest I do that?
That's a great question. I liked how you started today. So you shared something that was private until you decided to share it. And when people share their trial and tribulation, it makes them more relatable. And I wrote down, run through the pain. Run through the pain because...
Wait. Pause for that for a second. Run to the pain?
No, run through the pain.
Run through the pain. Oh, that's good. That's good. Let me just get that going. Run through the pain. All right, go ahead.
Run through the pain, pray through the pain, because everyone is dealing with something. And so the messaging right away is that. Like, that's the topic, that's the whole talk, run through the pain. And in that messaging, I would talk about the importance of failing forward. And there are going to be times where you think you're prepared and you're not. There are going to be times when you're expecting one outcome and you're presented with a totally different outcome that's unexpected. The question is, how are you going to handle it? How are you going to respond to it? It's not always going to be the way you want it to be. It's not going to line up the way you would like it to always line up. But you have to continue to move forward. So everyone here has a goal, has a specific outcome, a dream, a vision that they're really wanting to manifest. And there's a straight line from where you are to your destination, but you're going to have all kinds of roads that are going to take you off that path if you let it. Now, almost a year ago, in mid-sentence, I collapsed because I had a stroke, and I had to work and fight my way back to some level of comprehension. And even though I'm not perfect right now, I am delivering a perfect message, which is to simply run through your pain. Some of you all are going through some things that no one knows about. Some of you came here in spite of some of the biggest obstacles that you've ever encountered. You still showed up. Well, I'm simply a representation of that for you in the physical embodiment of a body that is damaged and injured and uncomfortable, but I'm still here. I'm still failing forward. So my message to each and every one of you is to keep moving, run through the pain. And I promise you, on the other side of that is going to be some revelation in terms of what's inside of you. And you're going to discover things that you didn't even know you had. So that's my message to you today. I am grateful for the invitation to come back and complete my time here in delivering a message. And I appreciate and honor all of you for going after what it is that you want. So that's just me, right now off the top.
That was great. That was great. I wish I could rely on myself to say those things in a certain way, like to say those things like, to trust myself, myself, to say them the way you said them. Because as you've no doubt noticed, I have a difficulty concerning, certain words, and I'm still struggling with that. And I think though you talking about run through the pain is a very deep message, and that struck me. And talking about that, I think that would be a good linchpin for me to come back to. If I get lost, come back to run through the pain, run through the pain. I think that would be great. That'd be great. So thank you.
Absolutely.
for doing that. Okay. So that said, now, I mean, what else are you into? Like, tell me about what you're sharing with people these days.
Well, it's interesting when you asked me that you said that we were going to be talking just about speaking, and I was looking. I've been doing some looking back, and I love the speech that Steve Jobs gave at the University of USC. He talked about, oh no, I'm sorry, at Stanford. He said you can't connect the dots until you look back. And I was looking at these iterations in my journey from actor to speaker to entrepreneur to sales leader to life insurance. And every one of those iterations were completely manifested because of my ability to communicate, my ability to speak and connect. And so now what I do is I keep everything still connected, because even though technically, yes, I provide people education on life insurance and annuities, how to better set themselves up for retirement, take care of legacy and their families. What I'm really doing is inspiring people to think bigger, to think beyond their current circumstance. I'm really cultivating leadership and building a culture and team of people working together, because everyone has a specific goal that they want to achieve. Some of the people that come into our organization, they want to get rid of all their debt. They want to make sure their kids' educational funds are fully funded. They want to stop living from check to check. They want a building that they can leave for their children or grandchildren, etc. So because we all have that in common, a dream, a vision, a bigger life that we imagine for ourselves, we lock arms and we put in the work. And if you lead with a spirit of impact and genuinely bringing value into a family's household, genuinely adding greater perspective and education to people's households, well, then you create a win-win situation. So I utilize my communicator to build community, to build culture, and to develop leaders. That's really the essence of what we do.
All right. Well, you got some shout outs here. Let me shout you out. That's from V King. You better preach, sir. I believe that's related to you. Related to you. And she said to me,
Thank you.
Yeah, you know your story and your journey more than anyone, Sekou. Continue trusting the process. Trust your shape. Thank you, V King. V King is the girlfriend of duty. Yeah, she's really supporting me and supporting me in real life situations, and she's been very, very helpful. Very helpful. Yeah. So
that's
now that we talked about that, let me just go back a bit to run through your pain, right? So once I've attached things to that, running through the pain, how do I make it short and sweet? Like I don't go too far off of the main thing. How do I just get there and get off really quickly? I hope that's a decent question.
Well, again, what I do, watch the recording of this, what you and I are doing right now. Because if you go back to answering the question, I'm literally doing your entire presentation, like right there. You can obviously edit, add a couple, but I gave you a 3-minute, maybe 3.5-minute speak. And the point is, a lot of times less is more. Most people, when they speak, they always talk too long and they always say too much. They never know when to stop talking. And that's like 90% of the time. One of the things that
Yes.
Mr. Brown trained in me was how to a 20-minute message and turn it into a 5-minute message. Because when he and I were on the road together, there were times where he had a keynote and he would have a 50-minute keynote, but because of the programming going over, he would go from 50 minutes to say, Mr. Brown, I'm sorry, we really apologize. We can only give you 13 minutes. So he
Wow.
And me watching him do that, that's how I learned how to condense my messaging, because he was right. There have been plenty of circumstances where somebody would fly me overseas to South Africa, and all of a sudden, instead of me having 2 hours to speak, I have 30 minutes. Well,
Wow.
we still get paid the same. Our job is to a situation. You can just listen to what you can listen and you can keep it under 5 minutes, no problem.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're losing you a little bit on your cell phone connection, so we're going to try to catch you.
Oh,
I think you said that
okay.
I think you said that you've given me the whole thing just before, right? And I can play it and rewind it and figure out that and be ready to say what I say and get off. Like don't go rambling, don't go rambling, don't go adding extra parts, but keep it short and concise. Is that about right? What you said?
That's number one. And number two, you can literally cue it. So if you take some index cards and go back to the points that I made, and just so you yourself can have a guidepost going through it, just to make sure to keep you on track. Because when you're sharing that you're in recovery from a stroke, then the audience is going to give a lot of grace. They're going to understand if you have to look at your notes or what have you, it will distract the message at all. And it still allows you to stay on point and to stay within a certain time frame.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's great. I actually hadn't thought of that because when I've given notes in the past, the previous version of me, I didn't need notes. I would just, I would just flow with whatever I was doing. But now, in order to delineate it on notes would be very helpful. And of course, I've got the big excuse. I get the big excuse of having a stroke and letting that affect me. So I think that'll be a great thing to have and to do, to speak to these people again. And just in case you don't know,
hey, Sekou, let me put this on you. I would also look at, some people will call what I had a stroke. I'm going to call it a stroke of luck. And well, how is that lucky to have a stroke, a debilitating stroke? Because it is forcing me to labor under correct knowledge, because I have to fight my way back. Some of you are holding yourselves back from your own possibilities because you've suffered from emotional stroke. You've suffered from a mental stroke. It's not anything physical. You have mentally blocked yourself and shut yourself off from greater possibilities. I'm simply here to remind you to get out of your own way. And you can create your own stroke of luck without it being physically debilitating. You can create, hey, I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to reinvest in my own possibility. I'm going to now labor under.
Hello? Hello? And did we lose you? All right, well, we lost Ed for a second, folks. I hope he pops back in because that was good. What he was saying just now was very good. Was
Correct.
Oh no. All right. So I guess I guess we lost you. Are you back, Ed? Are you back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we lost you mid flow. It was sounding good though. It was sounding really good. But you were talking about, redefining the use of the word stroke.
Stroke of luck.
Stroke of luck.
Laboring under correct knowledge. That's the acronym for luck. And talking about the fact that me, Sekou, I have been physically debilitated and I'm fighting back from that. But many of you have created your own strokes, emotional strokes, mental strokes, where you have shut yourself down to greater possibility. You've shut yourself down to belief in yourself. And I'm offering you an opportunity to rehabilitate the same I am. I'm going through physical rehabilitation. I'm going to challenge you to go through mental, spiritual, and emotional rehabilitation and start laboring under the correct knowledge of what you can do, who you can become, giving yourself permission to reinvent yourself and start getting after your goals, your dreams, and your possibilities instead of fighting for your limitations.
That was good. That was good. I'm glad we got to redo. That was excellent. Excellent. Ed, this show is usually about money. This show is usually about money. So let me just try to end things up, talk about money. So as you have done all these many beautiful things that you've done, what has been your best advice given regarding money? What's been the advice that has shown you the most as you've traveled?
The best advice I've ever gotten, and it took me a long time to understand it, is to live like you're broke.
Live like you're broke.
Move like you're broke. Because for most people, the worst part of some success is some success. Because as soon as you start having some wins, usually people start to get comfortable. Money creates an illusion. Money usually makes people soft. It makes people relax. It makes people comfortable. And so you stop doing the things that got you the money in the first place. So it's kind of like the relationship where you spend all the time courting the young lady and finally you get her together, stop doing the things that got her in the first place. You start taking her for granted. Money's the same way. Money does not like to be disrespected. Money does not like to be ignored. Money does not like to be treated with, flippantly. And so that's the best advice I've ever gotten, because when I started having a lot of success in sales, I just thought it was going to be like that forever. I never considered anything going wrong. And one of the things my mentor tells me now is healthy paranoia is important. Like, you have to keep your eye moving forward. What's the next goal? As soon as you hit one goal, what's the next one? You got to keep elevating. And so that for me has been pivotal in how I think, how I process, and how I move now.
Wow, that's good. And can you tell us quickly, like, what you do with their money? Like, if you're going to keep it, like you're going to cherish it, right? Then what do? You like stash that money away somewhere, or what do you mean? You
Fair question. So number one, what's the goal? So let's say your first significant goal is to have $1 million liquid or $100,000 liquid. Let's say it's your very first goal. So whether if it's $100,000 or $1 million liquid. So then it's like, what am I doing income wise? And increasing your income. What streams are you building and cultivating? In the last 48 hours, I've had 3 different sources of income taking place. So when I get off of this particular call, I have a call time for a photo shoot. Yesterday, I was with coaching clients. So there are multiple things that I'm doing. And I was doing insurance. Yes, got something to do today. So those are 3 different sources that I'm cultivating. Why? Because I have goals. The first goal is for me to get back to, you know, where we were, because when our travel business went out of business, we had to start figuring out new ways to create income and rebuilding that back up. So it depends on where, you know, where you're at. If you're listening to this, some of you're already at a couple $100,000 liquid. So then go to $1 million. Some of you have debt. Maybe you have a house that's not paid off, cars that are not paid off, etc. So you want to pay that off so you can start aggressively building and stacking cash until you get to that $100,000 liquid. Because hitting the stepping stone goals and then having one immediately afterwards, now you're starting to move. So if you have a steady job, well, create another source of income for yourself. One of the things that in our agency, 90% of our people are part-time. They have full-time jobs, and they're building their life insurance business on the side because it gives them the flexibility to generate a couple $1,000s a month. And guess what? They take that $2,000 and they're paying off whatever, their car, they put an extra payment on the mortgage, whatever they're doing, and it helps them get to their end game of debt, you know, zero debt faster. So those are just some of the suggestions depending upon where you're at.
Okay, those were great. Those are great. And I got so caught up, I let us run past our time already. So we're going to have to do this again. We have to do a part two. We're going to have to do a part two.
Fantastic.
So thanks to everyone.
Let's do it.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who checked us out. And I remember that that now is better than perfect. Now is better than perfect. Anything else you want to say, Mr. Blunt?
Listen, brother, continued healing to you. Much respect to you on your healing journey. We love that you show up and you still doing the work, even though you're rehabbing. So that's out of character and your determination. So you just keep on keeping on.
Thank you, folks. All right, we'll see you next time. Later.